Hi, I'm Enchanting Nubia Net. Welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Today I'm going to share a video that was viral, especially all over TikTok. Sometime this week, on a Manhattan-bound J train platform, right in Brooklyn. So the station stop was Norwood Avenue. If you're familiar, it's in the Cypress Hills section of Brooklyn. Something extremely near tragic happened, but thankfully there's a positive ending. There was a young woman, and she was 20 years old. She was actually left the train, walking on the platform, to exit out, because when you exit on the J train, you're on the outside. It's one of the trains that ride outside, so you need to take a few feet depending on where you are in order to go out the doors of the train and go downstairs to the street level. This man, 42-year-old Frederick Marshall, he followed the woman when she got off the train on the platform. He actually bear hugged, grabbed this woman from the back. So he's a much taller, bigger man, and she's a slim-bodied woman. He grabbed her from the back, and she was yelling and yelling for him to get off of her. And this man would not stop. This is broad daylight, everyone. Thankfully, I salute all the men who intervened on her behalf in order to save her. Several men rushed to her defense, and thankfully it was captured on TikTok, as I mentioned before, by Nico Bori 5. His name is spelled NICABORI 5. And this is the reason why this confrontation went viral, of the attempted abduction, and thankfully the courageous bystanders. So once again, the man who tried to abduct this woman, his name is Frederick Marshall, 42 years old. It took a good while for him to be apprehended, because several men had to come and intervene. One man even had a bat, I believe, or something similar. And the woman was screaming, "Get off me, get off me, get off me." Thankfully, those men, they showed courage. They stepped up. And this is exactly what we need our men to do. We'll have less sickos, creeps, people who think that they're entitled to take someone against their will. This will stop this, because we need to have this type of justice on the streets. Thankfully, so many men intervened. And when police arrested Frederick Marshall, it turns out that he was carrying a pointed weapon, rhymes with wife, and they said even a blackjack. So he even faces charges of third-degree assault, fourth-degree criminal weapon possession, third-degree attempted assault, second-degree harassment. But unfortunately, this is what I cannot understand about, living in the U.S. We need to have more accountability, more penalty. This man, he did not receive none of the charges are bail eligible. So he was still released under supervision after the arraignment. This is disgraceful, because if he were to kidnap this woman, she definitely would have been assaulted. First of all, the kidnapping, she would have been assaulted. She definitely could have been possibly unalived. And it's horrible that it happened to a woman, but thankfully it wasn't a child, because I couldn't even imagine how, children, he would be able to get away with something like this if no one intervened. If a young child, boy or girl, were scooped up, and if he had something that would cause them to be knocked unconscious, that would be the end. So thankfully this was a woman, and she was very strong-willed. Of course, anyone who's being pulled and grabbed on, you need to be vocal, extremely vocal. Thankfully, she raised her voice to alert many people in the surrounding area. So this, once again, happened in broad daylight, and thankfully there were bystanders who helped her. And this is the reason why we all need to look out for one another, especially when someone is an innocent victim, a person isn't able to defend themselves, especially a woman and a child. So the woman, she escaped with minor injuries. She has a painful shoulder. They said stomach bruises, according to the online article. EMS came and they did treat her at the scene. I did see her walking off when the crowd of people were on top of him, because, as I said, it could have been about 10 or more men by that time. And then she finally was able to leave from the scene. This is just really horrific. And again, I've always said this in my videos. Everyone, we need to be focused. We need to have our head on a swivel. When you're walking, doesn't matter if it's day, morning time, whatever. I do this all the time. If I walk down a block, I'm going to look not only forward where I'm going, but I'm going to look behind me as well, more than one time on one block. And when you're passing cars, you need to also focus on those areas too, because you don't know if anyone can be crouched down and lurking between the cars. Be quick on your feet, because this happened in a split second. I'm sure she wasn't even, he was thinking, daytime, you're out of a crowded train and you're on a platform. And again, this was on an outside train, above ground train, where everyone can see. Everyone can see what he's doing, and he thought he can get away with it. So this man, most likely could have been out of his mind. Of course, he's a criminal, but why didn't he think he wouldn't be apprehended? Perhaps he just thought that everyone would just mind their business. Thankfully, it wasn't this way, and especially in Brooklyn, areas in the boroughs, people will definitely step up to you. So I'm so happy that he was arrested, but many people in the community are very upset that he wasn't held. So we need more subway safety and even more community protection. I'm so happy that the residents and people who were passengers on the train stepped up, but we need to have a lot more cameras. We need to have even alarms. It would be awesome if, on the train station platforms and as well inside the train, that there's a working button, not just a button or a device for someone to press so that alarms can go off when there's a crime like this. We need to have a lot more security, for sure. But I'm glad again that it turned out to be a positive story because of these vigilantes who gave street justice. And thankfully, he was apprehended. His name, his information is out there. And I just wonder if, this man, he didn't just try this for the first time during this incident. For him to be this brazen and to be so bold to do this to a grown woman in the daytime, I believe in my heart that he has done this before. So I would definitely love to learn about the history of this man, Frederick Marshall. Thank you all for watching, and once again, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Keep your head on a swivel. Please share this video, and be safe wherever you are.